No, I always prefer to do everything live if I can. I don't like playback, really, to be honest. No, I never do playback shows, but I had to repay a favor to a friend of mine. It was his birthday, and he made me do a playback show. I didn't like it at all. No, live is good for me. Well, it was a very exciting time. I mean, I was just finishing at college, but I was also playing music as well. So I was kind of juggling two things, and I was living in New Zealand. So one of the great things about New Zealand is we had a pirate radio station. So we got the music at the same time as it was happening in America or in Europe or in England. And so that was really great. The rest of it, we were chasing fashion, we were chasing, the revolution, the 60s revolution was very slow and winding up there. But we still tried to have little happenings. We read a lot about what was going. We got the magazines. But we were pretty much chasing trends. There was no fashion shops, not like in England where you had immediately, there were shops on Carnaby Street and stuff like that. We had to kind of invent our own. We'd look at magazines and then we'd try and find somebody that could sew or make us a pair of trousers that looked like that or something. But it was a very exciting time. I mean, especially for me because I was at college, so I was probably at the most liberal organization that it could have been. So I suppose we were able to move along with that 60s revolution, I suppose. I tried to have it as long as I possibly could because that seemed to be the thing if you couldn't have long hair. But I was at teachers' college, so when I went out onto the section where I had to teach and practice, I used to kind of tuck it under a hat sometimes, or I don't know, put bobby pins in it so I could get away with it without having to cut it. Because with the band, the most important thing was to have long hair. Unfortunately, it's all gone now. Well, for me to go to England, it was a big struggle because I couldn't find work straight away, but you could buy a Marshall amplifier and you could buy a Gibson Les Paul guitar if you wanted one. In New Zealand, we couldn't have one, and you could go to Carnaby Street and get whatever you wanted. So it was it was great for me. I loved it. I loved going into London and hanging out in the clubs and trying to find work, but just being there was fantastic because I think it's the most exciting, for music, I think it was the most exciting period. Things were just, they were just moving and moving and moving and moving. And you could go down the Marquee Club and you'd be standing next to David Bowie or, didn't matter. You never knew who you were going to be standing. So it was very, very exciting. As far as becoming, with Manfred Mann's Earthband, it was just very hard work. I mean, I was used to turning up on Tuesday morning with the band I was playing, learning 4 songs and going home. With Manfred Mann's Earthband, we played 5 days a week from 11 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night with a break for lunch, working and working on 4 or 5 songs and practicing for concerts, of course. But recording-wise, we would just practice 4 songs at a time. So I'd never seen anything like it, spending that amount of time rehearsing. But I understand why. It was really hard work. Manfred Mann's Earthband was nothing to do with sex, drugs and rock and roll. It was all to do with very hard work. Manfred was a hard taskmaster, I suppose. He worked us pretty hard and he worked himself very hard as well. So it was hard work, and going on the road was fantastic, but it was very grueling. You never knew when you were going home. You just went and that was it. Well, I'm so lucky to have been successful in Germany and toured a lot in Germany because the German people really stand beside you as an artist. And so now I'm still able to play to a lot of people and they expect me to play Blinded by the Light, and they love Blinded by the Light, David's on the Road Again, Mighty Quinn. And I was also involved in writing a song called You're the Voice, which John Farnham had a hit with. So we do that as well, and people love singing along with that. And they're very, very receptive to all the new things we try to do, or the new old things we try to do. So I'm lucky. We're really lucky. They really know how to do a concert. The Americans really do, and the Germans do as well, really know how to be a concert audience. It's fantastic. Well, the British are a bit more kind of, yes, search exactly what you have, Mr. Thompson, and we'll clap if we think it's fantastic. But, you know, not all of them, but in a lot of ways they are. Whereas the, you know, German audiences get there and they're really up for a great time. I think as far as the music business is concerned and people being able to, you know, get in a band and be successful, it's very difficult now. In the 70s, 60s and 70s, radio would play a lot of really different things, and especially in America, where they played all sorts of different styles of music, and you had a chance. It didn't rest on one hit song, you know. Nowadays, I think young bands, you know, they've got maybe 1 or 2 hit singles. If it doesn't work, then whoosh, out the door. And that's no good for artist development. It's no good for songwriting development. It's no good for band development. It isn't. And I don't know how it's going to go at all. I have no idea. Sometimes support bands that we have do, but I think in general terms, I think they know much, young bands now seem to know much more the direction they are. They know they've got to be, you know, in a certain genre, and that's the way they've got to go. For us, we could do anything, and we did, and some of it worked, some of it didn't. I think they have a much better view, but I think they have a much harder way to, you know, to make a living from music, which is what we try to do. I'll continue on doing concerts because that's what I enjoy, love doing. I'm in the middle of writing a musical.
Oh.
Well, I'm actually towards the end of writing a musical.
Tell us about it, please.
Well, I can't tell you an awful lot about it. It's an idea that I've been working on for a very, very long time. It's changed dramatically since its inception. And I had a lot of advice from a company that puts on musicals here called BB. They put on musicals, all the musicals. And they put me in touch with another German company called Music and Bühne, who are representative of musicals. And with one of their writers and my wife, we're writing the story, and I'm writing 24 songs and lyrics for them all. And we hope to put it on somewhere just to get a look at it, probably around June or July, something next year.